Let me ask you something personal, truly personal. Have you ever been with a man and quietly wondered, did that actually matter to him? Or was I just another moment that will fade from his memory? Because here's the truth most people never say out loud. A man can sleep with many women in his lifetime, but years later there is usually only one he remembers with sharp clarity. And it's almost never because of what she did in the bedroom. It's because of how she made him feel deep inside himself. Most women don't even realize that it's not about what you give him physically, it's about what you open inside him emotionally. This isn't a video about seduction tricks. It's not about acting like a fantasy or creating some dramatic scene. It's about what separates the woman he forgets easily from the woman who stays inside his memory like she's part of his bloodstream. And once you really understand these shifts, these 5 inner shifts, everything changes for both of you. So take a moment and pause. Picture a man who is strong, respected, admired, someone who naturally attracts attention when he steps into a room. But then imagine him in the quiet of your bedroom, where no one is clapping for him, where he has nothing to prove, where he doesn't need to protect his image. That is the space where he wants to feel something real. That is the place where he finally wants to let go. But most of the time, he doesn't. Not because he doesn't want that connection, but because most women have no idea what he is truly hungry for. I used to believe intimacy was about being exciting, mysterious, desirable. But now, I'm not so convinced, because the woman he remembers forever is almost never the most stunning or the most experienced. She's the one who brought genuine presence, the one who didn't try to perform but actually connected, the one who saw him in a way he didn't even know he wanted to be seen. We're going to break this down step by step, not with confusing theories but with honest truth. And the very first shift, the first deep difference, is this: presence over performance. While the world encourages you to try harder, prove more, impress him, he is quietly wishing you would simply be there, not rushing, not competing, not worrying about angles or perfection. Just present with him, in your skin, in the moment. This kind of presence acts like medicine for a man's entire body. When you stop trying to impress him and instead allow yourself to actually feel him, something ancient inside him unlocks. It's not the motion of your hips that drives him wild. It's the way you breathe out softly when he touches your back. It's the way your eyes lock onto his and you hold them. It's the small sound you didn't plan to make, the breath you didn't realize you were holding. And when you stop performing and start showing presence, he stops judging himself too. His walls begin to loosen, the pressure fades, and 2 human beings finally meet each other for real. But don't misunderstand. Presence isn't passive. It's not about being silent or doing nothing. It's about tuning into everything, how his skin feels against yours, how your breath rises, how slow time becomes when you're not trying to achieve something. Imagine kissing him like that kiss is the only thing that exists. No pressure to go further, no agenda, just that one moment, that breath, that closeness. That is what he remembers, not the technique, not the position. It's how he felt seen. And when you can offer that presence without judging him, without trying to push or impress or control, something powerful happens. He releases himself. And when a man feels safe enough to let go, he does not forget the woman who gave him that space. Not ever. And that is only the beginning, because presence is just the foundation. We haven't even talked about appreciation or how the right words, spoken at exactly the right time, can wake up a man's deepest desire to give, to show up, to stay connected. We haven't started on feminine leadership, how you can guide a moment without raising your voice. We haven't touched emotional intimacy, that kind of raw eye contact that makes his throat feel tight. And we still haven't unlocked the final key, the one that turns simple physical closeness into something almost sacred. But we will. And when we do, you will never approach intimacy the same way again. Let's keep going, because if you're still here, it means something inside you already knows you weren't meant to be just good in bed. You were meant to be unforgettable. Now let's go deeper. Because once you understand presence, not as an idea, but as something you feel in your body, you'll start to see another truth. Men are starving for real appreciation. That is the second shift. The second key that turns an ordinary connection into something magnetic is this: appreciation that heals, not empty flattery. I don't mean tossing out a quick compliment. I mean saying words that land in a man's chest and stay there. Words that don't inflate his ego but soothe the insecurity he hides from the world. Because most men live with one quiet question echoing behind every effort they make. Am I enough? They will never say it out loud. Many don't even fully realize it. But in the silence of intimacy, it is there. And in those moments, every touch, every breath, every word you whisper can either feed that fear or dissolve it. That's the power of true appreciation. And it can be so simple. It's the way your voice becomes softer when you say, "I feel so safe with you." It's the way your fingers move across his chest while you take a slow breath, like you can't believe he is right there. It's the way your eyes linger on his face like he is the most wanted thing you've looked at all day. These aren't compliments. These are affirmations. You're not feeding his pride. You're grounding his presence. You're telling him, right now, in this moment, you are exactly who I want. And when a man hears that, really hears it, something deep inside him changes. His breathing slows down. His hands relax. His thoughts stop racing. Because for once he isn't being graded or tested, he is being welcomed. Now let's raise the stakes, because this is where many people misunderstand men. They assume masculine energy always wants to lead. But the truth is, men crave being led in gentle, skillful ways in the bedroom. And that brings us to the third shift: feminine guidance without taking control. And here's the paradox. The softer you guide, the stronger he follows. I'm not talking about giving him orders or correcting everything he does. I'm talking about guiding him with small sounds, subtle movements, the slow pressure of your hand, the rhythm of your breath. A man feels this kind of leadership more deeply than any spoken instruction, because it tells him, I trust you, but I'm also showing you what I love. This creates a flow instead of a battle, a dance instead of a struggle. And when he feels that openness, he steps into a fuller version of himself without even thinking about it. I mean shifting the entire rhythm with a single breath, guiding his attention with one gentle touch, slowing everything down with just a whispered word. That is leadership, the kind that doesn't weaken him but actually inspires him. Picture this: things are getting intense. He's moving quickly, his excitement pulling him out of the present moment. You don't tense up or pull away. You simply place your hand over his chest, look right into his eyes and say, slower. Not like a command, but like an invitation. And suddenly, he isn't guessing anymore. He's paying attention. He's responding. And in that moment, you've just given him what he didn't even know he was craving. Direction without pressure, clarity without criticism. Most men never receive that. They've been taught to chase, to dominate, to perform instead of connect. But when a woman leads with softness, something totally different opens for him. He doesn't feel restricted, he feels guided. And that feeling is intoxicating. Because now he isn't acting from habit or insecurity. He's acting from presence. He's tuned in. He's awake. And when he reaches that place, every moment becomes a dance instead of a routine, a flow instead of a performance, a co-creation instead of a struggle. And here's the surprising truth most people don't talk about. The more gently you lead, with softness, with responsiveness, with that quiet feminine authority, the more he steps into his masculine. He wants to please you. He wants to match your rhythm. He wants to stay inside this flow because it feels different from anything else he's experienced. The world keeps trying to push women into two extremes: be submissive or be dominant. But there is a third way, a far more powerful way: receptive leadership. A place where your body, your breath, your small sounds, your whispered words become his compass. And he follows not because he feels forced, but because something inside him is pulled toward it naturally, like gravity. Pause with me again. We've now touched the first three shifts: presence, appreciation, gentle feminine guidance. And already, can you sense how different this is from what most people imagine intimacy to be? We haven't talked about moves. We haven't talked about techniques. Instead, we've gone far beneath all of that. And if you've ever wondered why some women seem to stay in a man's mind long after the moment is over, this is why. Because they weren't just there in the room, they were awake, they were listening, they weren't afraid to guide, to affirm, to connect with a level of depth most people never reach. But we're nowhere near done, because the next key, the fourth shift, is where everything begins to touch the soul, where a simple moment becomes a memory, where a memory becomes an imprint, and an imprint becomes something like obsession. You ready for that? Then let's move. Now, we step into the center of it all. The fourth shift is one most women overlook, not because they don't care, but because nobody ever taught them how powerful it truly is. Emotional intimacy is the fuel that turns physical touch into unforgettable connection. A lot of people confuse intimacy with intensity. They think louder reactions or wilder movements create deeper bonds. But truthfully, the deepest connections are often born in the quietest spaces: the pause before a kiss, the stillness between breaths, the silence where only your eyes speak to each other. That is the place where a man feels something he hasn't felt in years, maybe never, and that feeling changes him. Men walk through life armored. They are praised for being calm, valued for being controlled, rewarded for keeping their emotions locked away. Rarely, almost never, are they invited to soften. But in the bedroom, when you hold his gaze instead of looking away, when your fingertips stay resting on his skin a little longer than necessary, when you allow the silence to stretch because you trust it, he begins to lower that armor. Not because you demanded vulnerability from him, but because your energy told him he was safe. Emotional intimacy isn't about pouring out confessions during sex. It's about letting your soul shine through your body. It's about looking at him not just with desire, but with a quiet kind of reverence. And when you do that, he feels something most men never get to feel: chosen. Chosen not for his performance, not for his reputation, not for his strength, but for who he is beneath all of that. And when a man feels chosen in this way, something irreversible begins to take root. He bonds, he remembers. He connects you not with a fleeting moment of pleasure, but with peace. And we can go even deeper. Emotional intimacy doesn't only mean that you see him, it means you let yourself be seen too. That's the part many women don't realize. Vulnerability is not just something you offer him, it's something you give both of you. When you let out a sound you weren't planning, when your body shakes and you don't try to hide it, when your voice trembles because you're feeling more than you expected, that is intimacy. That is the moment he shifts from being aroused to being moved. Yes, it's scary. Yes, it feels exposed, and that's exactly why it's unforgettable. Because when you allow yourself to be that open, you give him silent permission to open too. You create a kind of sanctuary, a warm, quiet space where both of you can drop the roles, drop the walls, and just exist together. That kind of moment doesn't fade. It lives in him. Here's something almost nobody realizes. People think intimacy ends when the climax does. But the truth is, the most important minutes come after. That moment so many overlook is what creates emotional imprint. Those quiet minutes, that's what we call aftercare. And if you want to leave a lasting mark on him, it's not optional. Imagine it. The moment has passed. The room is still. He expects what he's always known, maybe a quick kiss, maybe turning away, maybe silence. But instead, you stay. You run your fingers through his hair. You rest your cheek on his chest. You draw slow lines on his skin and whisper something as simple as, "I love being close to you." You don't talk much. You don't need to. Because your warmth, your stillness, your presence say everything. It tells him he wasn't just a body. He was welcomed, valued, held. And that experience is what he will think about again and again when life gets loud, when he's alone, when he wonders why he can't stop remembering you. Most women focus on the act. Very few understand the power of the after. But now we arrive at the final shift, the one that brings everything together, the one that lifts the moment from beautiful to soul-stirring. And it is this. Feminine energy is not a performance, it's a transmission. And when you sink fully into it, when you release the urge to impress or control or force an outcome, you become magnetic in a way no technique can imitate. Feminine energy isn't about lace, fancy words, or acting out some perfect script. It's about how you receive him, how you soften instead of tense, how you let yourself feel instead of pretend. It's in the quiet sigh you make when his touch lands in exactly the right place. It's in the way you relax, not because you're weak, but because you trust him in that moment. And that trust, that simple willingness to open, is what unravels him completely. Because for the first time, he doesn't just feel like a man, he feels like your man. And when a man feels that way, he doesn't drift, he doesn't forget, he doesn't need reminders. He remembers you without effort. You become the standard he compares others to, the imprint he can't shake, the quiet echo inside him long after you're gone. Now picture this. All 5 shifts, presence, appreciation, soft guidance, emotional intimacy, and feminine energy, woven together like notes in a song only the two of you can hear. That's not just physical connection, that's not performance, that's art, that's chemistry turned into alchemy. That's what makes you unforgettable. And now, in these next moments, I want to show you what it looks like when all of this becomes real, when ideas turn into experience, when a kiss becomes a conversation, when your breath becomes a message, when your body becomes a memory he will never be able to erase. So let's bring it into real life. Because theory is lovely, but embodiment, that's where the true power lives. Imagine you're with a man, not just any man, but someone you genuinely want to connect with. Maybe he's the partner you've shared years with. Maybe he's someone new, someone you're starting to trust. The room is quiet. There is no rush, no roles to play, nothing to prove. It begins with a kiss. Not a quick kiss that feels like a step towards something else, but a kiss that breathes, that pauses, that says, "I'm here with you." You're not thinking about angles or how you look or where it should lead. You're right there, completely in the moment. That's presence. And he feels it instantly. His mouth might not say it, but his body does. His chest settles, his shoulders drop, because your presence tells him, without words, you're safe here. And in a world that constantly pushes men to act strong, perform well, and hold it together, that kind of safety is rare. That kiss becomes its own world. A slow inhale, a gentle leaning in. He stays close not because he's just turned on, but because something in you makes him want to linger, makes him want to be better, be deeper. As the moment builds, you don't hurry. You let your hands move like you're discovering him piece by piece. And when you speak, it's not to fill silence, it's to reveal truth. You might trace a line down his shoulder and whisper, "I love how steady you feel." Or maybe your forehead rests on his and you murmur, "You make me feel alive." You say it because it's honest, not because you want to control the moment. That is appreciation, not the shallow kind, but the kind that reaches the part of him that quietly wonders, "Am I enough?" And in that instant, he believes he is. His breath changes. His hands soften. The pressure to perform fades. He's not trying anymore. He's simply with you. Maybe his excitement speeds things up. Maybe he starts moving too fast, his rhythm rushing ahead of the moment. Most people freeze or tolerate or gently resist without knowing what to do. But you guide. You lay your hand gently on his chest and whisper one soft word, slower. That's feminine leadership, not domination, not criticism, invitation. You set the tempo. You say, "Come into my rhythm." And he follows because your body becomes the map. You tilt your hips when you want more. You breathe deeper when something feels good. You shift his hands not with force, but with hunger. And he responds not because he feels commanded, but because he's captivated. There's no guessing, no awkwardness. Just two people creating a moment together that neither wants to end. The passion builds. Your bodies find their way. Your breaths get tangled. Your pulse is loud. And right when most people check out, when things turn automatic, you do something most never dare. You hold his gaze. You stay with him. You let your eyes do the talking. They say, "I see you. I'm here." You don't have to hide. That is emotional intimacy, and it hits him deeper than any sound or movement ever could. Because that level of eye contact feels like standing bare, not physically, but emotionally. And when he doesn't look away, when he meets your gaze and stays there, something shifts in him too. Something ancient, something honest. A shared understanding that this is more than a physical moment. This is connection. This is recognition. And years from now, when he thinks back, he won't remember the positions. He'll remember that look, that moment when someone finally saw the real him. When it all softens and the heat fades, this is where you create the imprint he'll carry for years. You don't roll away. You don't rush for your phone. You don't put distance. You stay. You bring your fingers to his jaw. You rest against him. Maybe you say something quiet like, "I love how peaceful I feel with you." Maybe you say nothing, just breathe with him. That after moment, the one most people rush through, that is the anchor. It tells him this wasn't just physical. It meant something. It was safe. It was rare. It was real. And it doesn't end there. Because the way you speak afterwards, the way you laugh softly, the way you clean up, the way you move, all of it still carries that same feminine warmth that says, "I'm open. I'm here." And he feels it even later, even hours or days after. So what happens next? He doesn't just want your body. He wants the feeling you gave him, the calm, the awe, the grounding, the quiet joy of being understood without being judged, touched without being used, desired without having to perform. And that is what draws him back. That is what stays in his mind. Not because you did something wild, but because you gave him something he didn't even know he was aching for. And here's the honest truth. Once a man experiences that, once he feels what it's like to be truly met by a woman who's present, appreciative, intuitive, emotionally open, and rooted in her feminine energy, no one else compares. Not the ones with the tricks, not the ones who play games, only you. And maybe a part of you is thinking, can I really do this? Is it too late for me? Do I have to turn into someone completely different? The truth is no. You don't need to become anyone else. You only need to return to yourself. Because when you do, when you release the pressure, the noise, the old stories, and you drop back into your own body, your own softness, your own truth, you don't simply make love to a man, you awaken something inside him. You remind him of a feeling he didn't even realize he was longing for. And that is what makes you unforgettable. Now there's only one more thing left. Let's talk about you. So let's shift the focus inward now. Because yes, this has been about how to open a man, how to touch him emotionally, how to become unforgettable in his mind. But the deeper truth underneath all of it is that this journey is about you. It's about the woman you become when you stop acting and start connecting. When you stop trying to impress and instead choose honesty. When you stop chasing approval and finally rest in your own worth. Because the woman who brings presence into the bedroom naturally brings presence into her whole life. The woman who can appreciate a man without shrinking herself also learns to value herself without apology. The woman who leads with softness, opens with vulnerability, and receives with grace doesn't only transform the way a man experiences her, she transforms the way she experiences herself. That's the shift no one explains. That's the real change beneath all the techniques. Because when you start to embody these 5 keys, presence, appreciation, soft guidance, emotional closeness, and feminine energy, you stop asking, "Am I enough?" and begin to know in your bones, "My softness holds power." And then something surprising starts happening. The world reacts differently to you. Men don't just look at you, they feel something shift inside them. They don't just want you, they feel calm around you. Opportunities seem to come toward you instead of you chasing them. Conversations become deeper, connection becomes natural. And not because you turned into someone new, but because you stepped back into the woman you were meant to be all along. That version of you is unstoppable. Her walk changes, her voice changes, the way she loves changes. And when a man meets that woman, the one who sees herself clearly, who holds space like a quiet sanctuary, who gives her body not as a trick, but as truth, he remembers her for a very long time. Even if life moves him in another direction, even if things shift, there will be nights when he lies awake, touches the place on his neck where you once kissed him, and whispers in his mind, "No one else ever made me feel that way." And it won't be about the physical moment. It will be about the feeling you gave him, the peace, the stillness, the presence, the spark of something deeper, the soul he met behind your eyes. But let me tell you something just as important. This journey isn't really about whether he remembers you. It's about whether you remember yourself, your softness, your strength, your ability to awaken connection not by force, but by invitation, not by pressure, but by energy, not by chasing, but by being. That begins the moment you choose to slow down, the moment you stop competing, stop comparing, stop trying to follow rules, and instead start listening to your breath, to your body, to your truth. So the next time you're with him, whether it's tonight or sometime in the future, or with a man you haven't even met yet, don't focus on performing. Focus on depth. Don't aim to impress him. Aim to feel him. Don't try to be unforgettable. Try to be real. Because when those 5 keys come together in one single moment, that moment becomes a memory. That memory becomes an imprint, and that imprint becomes something he carries with him long after the room goes dark. If this touched something inside you, if you felt your breath shift even a little, if your chest softened, if a quiet voice inside whispered, "This is what I've been missing," then don't ignore it. Keep this message close. Return to it. Let it sink deeper every time you hear it. Share it with another woman who needs to remember her own magic. And if you want more guidance, more clarity, more truth like this, go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now. Turn on notifications so you don't miss anything that could shift your whole world. Because intimacy like this isn't loud, it isn't shallow, but it changes everything. And it's yours to create starting now.